people, over 50. So
Yeah.
let's let's
All
see
right.
if she hears us. We
Yes.
can hear you.
Oh, yay. Okay, I'm trying to.
Oh, yay. You can hear
Yay.
us.
Oh my gosh.
Wow,
What was going on?
it worked.
Who
That was
knows?
crazy.
Awesome.
Okay, well, here we are.
Here we
Woo!
are.
Thank you for being patient through
Yeah,
that.
no worries. No worries.
All right, we might just need to start over again.
That's okay. Let's do it.
Anyway, Joanne, here's Amy Denson. She's going to tell us her stories.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. So I am a former professional athlete. I played overseas for almost 8 years. I played college basketball at Arizona State, where I got in touch with an agent after that and just wanted to continue my career. And I always knew from a young age, I didn't even know what professional women's basketball looked like. I didn't even know, really, honestly, it existed. The WNBA was just getting started. I did not know anything about overseas, and just there was women before me that have gone, and an agent that had worked really closely with my team at Arizona State. So it was just kind of a natural progression. And I got my first playing job in Puerto Rico, and it was like the most fun experience of my life. I lived in a tiny little village in Morovis, and we were the Morovis Montañeras. So we were the mountaineers. And there was the most big, beautiful gym you'd ever see in the middle of the mountains. And it was the most welcoming experience. It was the most freeing experience. Really fell back in love with the game. And then from there, I went to play in Poland for half of a season. Then I went to Romania for half of a season. And then I played in Australia for 3 years and back to Spain. And then I ended my career in Puerto Rico. So I kind of got to wrap it up at the place I began. And I ended up playing in Morovis for 4 seasons. I loved it. I love those people. I love that town. So it was really special to be able to end my career there. It was the only place I won a championship, was in Puerto Rico. So yeah, I had just the most beautiful career. I love to travel. I love to meet people. I think it's, I was in some pretty sticky situations in Romania, and it was the hardest experience, one of the hardest experiences of my life, but it was also the most humbling. And it literally changed who I am, because my perspective on the world changed. Seeing how other people lived, and sometimes not in the best of ways. I was so thankful for where I came from. It really changed my perspective on what's important in life. And so, they had those kind of tougher moments. And then also, living in Spain and traveling around the country. And that's the thing about playing in, a league in a specific country, is that very rarely did we ever take a plane anywhere. So we just traveled by bus. So I literally got to see the whole country. And so it was such a special time. I was so blessed to live out my first dream, right? My first love. And not a lot of people get to do that. And I had a really just a great playing career, and I got to, end it on my terms at my time. So that's really special too, even though it was really hard once I retired, and I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know how hard it was going to actually be. But it was good to just say, hey, I'm going to end it here and move on. So yeah, so that's kind of where my playing career ended. And then I came back to the States and was just kind of smacked in the face with the transition of, what the hell do I do now? Who am I without basketball? I haven't lived in the United States for almost 8 years. I've been living out of a suitcase, and I had my laptop in a suitcase, and I was perfectly, happy with that, because I picked up and moved everywhere. It was just such a different transition. I had a really hard time getting a job, even though, I had a degree, but nobody really cared, because nobody thought I had any work experience. They thought I had been, just doing my thing for 8 years. And I'm like, well, actually it was, it was work. I was working, I was performing, I was competing. I had to stay at a top, performing level for a really long time, which physically, yeah, it's hard, but honestly, emotionally, it was hard, and I needed a break. Mentally, that's the whole game, right? Like the whole game it's mental at that point, because we're all pretty good if you're at the professional level. So it's the mental game that it kind of gives you the edge or not. So it was really defeating coming back and almost being stripped of any sort of what I knew as my identity.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say when I was like, hi, I'm Amy, I play professional basketball. Now I'm like, I'm Amy. I can't even get a job.
I used to
Right?
play
So
basketball.
I used to be somebody, like that was so difficult, but it was also just another really beautiful lesson. And it was years of figuring out my way. And I think it's what a lot of us go through in our own way, whether it's our career, whether it's as a mama, we sink into these identities, and we don't, I think, really take the time to make sure we're working on, our identity is who we are. It's not what we do.
Right.
And we don't really separate that a lot. And it's just human nature to really, and it's our culture to get kind of wrapped up in prestige and what we do and all the degrees and all. And I love education and all that, but a lot of it is kind of stout, right? And so, so I was just kind of trudging my way. I ended up getting a coaching position at Portland State University. So it's a small Division I. And I just felt like, well, this is obviously the next step. I had so much experience, and college is such a pivotal time. At that age, whether you're in college or not, it's such a pivotal time. And I believe that, solid mentorship is needed.
Yes.
And I felt like I just had such a special, I guess, position or bond, because I understood what it was like to play college basketball at a top level. I understood what it was like to mature and move on to a professional level. I understood, the recruitment process, because I was heavily recruited. So I understood like what works, kind of what didn't work, how it came off, and so I had such a great like little position with the girls that I was mentoring and coaching. But unfortunately, the staff that I was with was just a really toxic work environment. I took on a lot of that stress because I couldn't fix it. I thought what is wrong with me? I tried to do my best to say, hey, how can we make this work? But there was just it wasn't a two-way street in that way. So I was just sticking it out because I love the girls. I'm really good at coaching. I love the game. And I kept putting my personal health, honestly, on the back burner, which, if y'all know, and I'm sure you do, especially as your previous careers, like stress accentuates everything.
Right.
And I know that I probably was always going to be diagnosed with it's Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease that affects the thyroid. But I think that job and the amount of stress that I had a huge part in that, right? Because I let it go for so long. I didn't speak my truth for so long. I think it just totally escalated it. And I just was feeling like absolute crap. So it's like I went from being a professional athlete to battling professional fatigue, and I didn't understand why. And I didn't understand. I thought, oh my God, is this like is aging? Like, am I just like hyper aging right now? Like, what is going on? Because I didn't feel like myself. I didn't look like myself. And the only way I knew how to deal with it was working out harder, was, getting on a diet, was, because I didn't understand why I was gaining weight. I didn't understand why I was so tired. So for me, working out was always my therapy. But the way that I worked out was like, you go balls to the wall until you cannot push anymore, because that's how I used to train, right? To be in the best shape. So I didn't realize that my coping mechanisms were also adding so much stress to my body. And so I ended up quitting the coaching job, which is the first thing I've ever quit. That was very hard for me, but my stress was physically manifesting itself into symptoms. And at that point I said, I will never, ever put myself in a position where I'm making myself sick for staying. So I kind of moved on, got a different job. I just still wasn't feeling very good. And I kind of hit my rock bottom in 2016. And it was just, one of those moments I'm sure you all have as well, where you remember just being so low or so down, or you're at a crossroads. And I just looked at my husband and I just said, there has to be a better way. I'm not going to feel like this for the rest of my life. There has to be a better way. So it was at that point I started to kind of do my own research. I found a wonderful naturopath that actually had some knowledge around Hashimoto's and autoimmune, because this was my second autoimmune diagnosis.
So
And
did you have an idea that that's what was going on?
So unfortunately, my story is so common, is that when I was in that coaching position, I went to a really well-known endocrinologist because I wasn't feeling good. And my symptoms were, it's I guess weight gain, but I looked puffy. So it's inflammation. I didn't really realize that's what it was. So inflammation, my hair was falling out. So that really scares me. And I think that for women too, is like, I had a client tell me, was like, I will deal with everything else, but if you take my hair, like I cannot, like we need to do something. Right. And unfortunately, hair loss is like kind of like your body's last, it's your last symptom. Like, hey, we've got to do something. So I went to an endocrinologist, did blood work, did an ultrasound, because I have goiters in my neck, which was found because I had a really bad bloody nose that they couldn't get stopped. So I had to go to an emergency endocrinologist to get it stopped. And I put my head back and he's like, hey, you have some nodules in your throat, which obviously was scary. I got them biopsied, went to this endocrinologist as a follow-up. She said, hi, you have Hashimoto's. There's not much you can do about it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what is it? It's like, okay, well, it's an autoimmune disease that your body thinks that your thyroid, it's like a foreign invader. So your body is reacting and attacking your thyroid. Well, if it attacks it to the point where it's really not going to be able to operate anymore. And I'm like, okay, so how do we get it to stop? And her answer was, you don't. You just let it run its course. And I said, wait a minute. So you're telling me that I'm just going to feel like this until my thyroid just completely doesn't work. And then there'll be intervention of some sort, which I'm assuming is just, medication, hormones. And she said, yes. And, unfortunately, there's two parts to this. There's that answer, which she's an amazing endocrinologist. I just don't think she has the background in Hashimoto's, which is fine. So there's that part of it. And that's very common. The other part of it, which is what I didn't do until a couple of years later, is that's fine if that's your answer. I'm going to advocate for myself and my health until I find some help. And that's where I have about a 2-year gap until I had that doctor tell me there's nothing I can do. And then to my rock bottom moment where I was like, there has to be something I can do, right? There has to be something and in my control that I can help with. So that gap, it's only 2 years, but that's 2 years that I could have been feeling better, right? That's 2 years that and that happens for a reason. But that's why now I just finished my certification as a nutritional therapy practitioner, and I am a thyroid mentor because my story is so common. These symptoms are so common that I don't think they're being taken seriously, and a lot of times just even getting tested, basic blood tests for your thyroid, we're not getting a full panel. We're only getting TSH tested, which does not give us the clear picture. So you get your TSH tested and it's like, hey, you're in the normal range, which the normal ranges vary. So, hey, you're in the normal range, you're good, you're fine. Everybody's tired. Everybody gains weight. Everybody's metabolism slows down. It's all of these are normal things that we are supposed to settle with. And that is the narrative around that is so untrue.
Yes.
And so that's why I'm like, you know what? I think what's missing in our medical system right now is empathy, is, hey, I hear you. I know your tests say this, but you're telling me that you feel like this. Let's think of other things that we can do, right? Let's talk about food. Let's talk about the right movement for you, because we still want to be moving our bodies. Let's talk about the importance of sleep. Let's get back to basics and not being, so reliant on supplements. Because I think we're eating enough, but we're not eating enough nutrients to support our body. And I personally, from the clients that I've seen, the women I work with, they aren't eating enough. They're not. We're not nourishing our bodies.
It's so interesting. Like what I like what you said about, you weren't going to settle. And I got me thinking about how it's almost like we don't know how vibrant and alive we can be. It's just like, oh yeah, that's just normal, sluggish, no energy, a little fogginess,
Well, because that's what we know and what we
I was just
see.
going to say, we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that is kind of an uphill battle.
Because Amy, how old were you when you?
So yeah, I was 33, 34.
See, that's not.
I was a baby.
Yes.
Well, you know what else? It is just, and it's funny now, but at the time I was just like slugging through it. And, it's hard too, because it's not that, I don't think that the medical system necessarily has ill intention.
No.
I think it's just a different way of treatment, and a lot of times it's immediately on medication. We'll check in later, see you later. And that's why I want to offer more of a personal experience, more of an individualized experience. And to be honest with you, the biggest experience I'm offering is like, I'm here for you. I support you. I hear you. I trust you. If you feel like something's off in your body, it's probably off, because only you know your body. So you are the expert of your body, right? But in that time period when I was going from doctor to doctor, I was so focused on my hair loss, because I don't have like a lot of thick hair in general. So I'm like, listen, I need every little bit that I've got. Like, I cannot be losing hair like this. And so I had done some research and I had read that, a dermatologist can also maybe help with this. So I was like, okay. So I went to a dermatologist, and at 33 years old, she told me I was prematurely balding and suggested, Rogaine and suggested stuff. And I was just like, this just doesn't seem right. And that is, even though it took me a little bit to find my way, find my path, I'm so happy that my gut instinct was just like, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem right. And so the awareness and listening to your body, and you can take people's opinions all day, but it's up to you to say, you know what, I don't know, maybe I will try this. That sounds good. It's always just kind of like a trial and error. I think we get so, especially in nutrition, we get so caught up in these very, definitive diets. And it's like, I don't know which one works for me. It worked for her, but it's not working for me. And it's like, we're so different. All it is the healing process is just a trial and error. It's just looking at it as like, hey, this didn't work for me, but what if I tried this? Or, hey, this didn't work for me. And it's the same with people's opinions, even the medical system, so if you get somebody's opinion back, go get a second opinion. If you don't like what they're saying, say, hey, thank you so much for your time. I think I'm going to go, move on or do something else, because it's your body, it's your health. You deserve the absolute best in that process. So it's not so personal. It's just, they are hopefully going to be working for you in your best interest.
Right.
And I know with insurance and stuff, it's not always as easy as saying this, but you got to keep going until you find that person, you find that help, because that help is out there. And I'm here to tell people and to hopefully lead in action that there's hope to feel better. I have 2 autoimmune issues, and I'm doing my absolute, I was going to say damnedest, but to not get a third, because a lot of times it comes in 3s. And I just had a client that diagnosed with Hashimoto. She's had Hashimoto's for 20 plus years. And as anything, if you have anything, you don't deal with it, whether it's hormonal issues, whether it's autoimmune issues, it's going to get tougher as we age. Right.
So
That's just that.
So it leads to others, or you just
a lot of times in general, autoimmune, it's like maybe it's just an old adage. It's like where you get 1 or 2, you're going to get 3 kind of thing. And I'm like, I don't even know. I don't want it. I don't know if it's I don't know, but it does seem to do that. But Yeah, I think a lot of times there's a lot of misdiagnosis. I mean, fibromyalgia, I think PCOS is a big one that you have to be very, cautious with, because it's autoimmune is just so tricky. It's
Yeah.
so tricky. And so the healing process in that can be done, but it's very, very individualized. And it's just a lot of trial and error. And that's why it's just nice to have support along the way.
So, 3 years ago, I had a problem similar to
Mhm.
this. Do you remember, Joanne? Do
Mhm.
you remember? Like, I was so
Yeah.
tired.
Oh yeah.
My hair started falling out, and that was it. Like when you start losing your hair, because I'm the
It's
same.
scary.
I don't have a lot of hair.
You and me
But
both, sister.
yeah, so when it started falling out and it hurt to comb my hair, like,
Same.
oh my gosh, it was so sensitive. Like even as soft as I could be, it hurt so bad. And I went into an say it again.
Endocrinologist, you got
It's
it.
such a big word. Anyway, I had hyperparathyroid.
Yes.
So they did go in and do surgery, took it out,
Okay.
and I feel so much better
Good.
now. Now I know there's probably other ways of handling
Mhm.
that, but this was the only thing that I knew, because I was so desperate. I didn't
Yeah.
want to lose my hair, and I
Yeah.
just wanted to feel good. I was so tired. So
And
I'm
that's
trusting the doctor and everything that they say.
absolutely.
And I do feel, I feel so much better.
Yeah.
But
And
just
that's,
there's
yeah.
no people aren't talking about it, and I'm sure there's so many people have this.
Oh, and that's
Mhm.
that's my whole like issue, is that it's so common. It
Yeah,
has
I
been
was
so
thinking,
Yeah.
common.
so I'm just getting older. This is what it feels like to get
No.
older. But I
Mm-mm.
don't think so. I feel like
No.
a box now,
We are supposed to age with grace. We are supposed to age. I like to say age in strength, because I want my body to be strong. I want my body to be, as flexible, as agile as I can be, so that, the movement and the habits and the nutrition, whatever, the habits that we are doing now, it's supporting our future bodies, our future self, right? So to say that we are, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just how we are all, especially as women, like we're supposed to age like this. Our metabolism slow down when it's like this. I'm not supposed to move as much because I have too much else going on in my life. So a lot of times it's a priority thing too, especially if you're a mama, you've got a lot going on, right? But I think, when there's a difference between being tired and being fatigued. And I think that we need to be very kind of clear on that, and saying that, like, no, I mean, I know when I'm tired, but I am tired. Like
Mhm.
Right.
something is off. I'm tired. And it's all these symptoms are so common. That's why I just don't think they're being taken as seriously. I think the autoimmune Hashimoto's specifically is very underdiagnosed, because it goes almost hand in hand with hypothyroidism. So it's about 80% of the time that hypothyroidism, it's Hashimoto's is right alongside of it. We
Mm.
don't know that. And you won't know that unless you're tested for a full thyroid panel, which includes the antibodies. And if your antibodies are higher, that is a sign of autoimmune kind of action, which would be Hashimoto's and or Graves' disease. So it's just, we are settling with and having to live within these symptoms because we just think that, dang it, my body, this is just how my body is aging. Dang it, this is just how life is for me, as if, we got a flip of a coin and I get to age a different way than you do. And it doesn't have to be like that, and I think when you said something was just so like pertinent to me, and it rang true to me, is like my rock bottom moment, I was desperate. And at that moment, it had nothing to do with weight loss. I just looked at my husband and I was just like, I just want to feel like myself again. That's
Mhm.
all. Weight loss was at the bottom of the barrel at that point. Like anything in that way, I want my hair to stop, falling out. And mine was really sensitive too. And I just wanted to feel like myself again. I felt almost out of control in my symptoms. I couldn't tell you from one day to the next if it was going to be a decent day. I was living for Friday so I could sleep all weekend and have to get up on Monday and do it all over again. And it was awful. I can't live like that. And
Right.
so many people do.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be like that. And the thing is like, I think too, people think a lot of times with change, we get overwhelmed with like, well, I'd have to, like, that's an extreme, right? I'd have to do some really, no, we are talking really small shifts every day. And then they just build and build and build and build and build and build. Because every time we just do something just minimal for our health every day, let's say you do something for 30 days, and then you have proof that you've done it. So with that proof comes confidence. And then you're like, hey, I've done that for 30 days. What if I tried this as well for 30 days or whatever the time period is? It doesn't have to be extreme. And with autoimmune issues, when you do extreme things, that's very stressful on your body, right? So we want to take the stress off. We want to try to stress, elimination is like the number one thing. So we want to just start slow. We start simple, and consistency is key. That's all it is. Consistency is key. And then you start to develop proof that you're doing it, and you get confidence, momentum, and then you can start adding, other little shifts in as well.
So what was the key for you? What started, what changes did you start making?
Good question. So the two pieces of advice that I kept reading over and over and over again was find a functional medicine doctor that has some experience in autoimmune / Hashimoto's, and try going gluten-free. Because gluten, a lot of times the protein within gluten, sometimes the research is mixed, but it sometimes mimics that antibody that's causing the attack on the thyroid. So do you understand what I'm saying? So that protein in gluten is almost, it's stimulating an attack. So the research is mixed, but what I love about gluten is that a lot of people will kind of, it's almost a quicker response than like maybe dairy or something. That if you wanted to eliminate it, people will kind of know in a pretty short amount of time if they feel better off of it. And that's what I like about it, because it's a good something to trial and error with that. Sometimes when things take a little bit longer, we're not as patient. So we want results now,
I have a sidebar,
okay.
but important question.
Okay.
So gluten is the same everywhere, right? So in Italy.
So you know what though? Yes and no, because that's a really good question. Yes and no. I think the US, we have so much processed ish.
That's my hunch.
And you know what? That is a great point. Because when I was playing overseas, I've never felt better.
Okay.
We're gonna test it out. I don't know.
I think you should.
I don't know. I feel like it's different. The food here and when I travel, like anywhere else.
I agree. I agree 100%. I ate a lot. I mean, I was an athlete. I ate a lot. I didn't monitor my eating as much. Like I was conscious about what I ate, but I have never felt so good in my life when I was playing and eating overseas. And I have the same hunch that you do, that it's because they don't allow as much processed ingredients. I mean, you go into the supermarkets and there's not the big cereal aisles. There's not the chips aisles. Everything is primarily rice-based. But when I was in Australia, or even when I was in Poland, I lived above a veggie shop. So I would go to the veggie shop to get the veggies. Then I'd go to the fruit shop. Then I would go to the bakery. Everything was within, homemade. Everything, most ingredients were within that country. When I was in Australia, up north, they had really bad fires on banana crops. So the bananas, like per banana was like $5 or $6, because they're like, well, we just don't have them. And I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, that's just, we got to wait till they grow again. And I'm like,
$5 per banana.
That's kind of cool. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense to me. Yeah. But no, I totally agree with that. And I think it's something that if, what I like to do with clients is we got to find foods that make your body feel good.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same for me. So try it, go overseas, eat all you want. I think you'll be fine overseas. I think here it's really, really hard. I think our food industry here makes it very, very difficult. And that's why, you know, I don't think a lot of people know what it feels like to eat a primarily whole food diet. And by whole foods, I mean one ingredient. So a tomato is a tomato, potato is a
Yeah.
potato.
Right.
There's nothing else in it, right? And we try to cook and eat primarily in a whole food way, because those are the foods that our body recognizes. If you are, you know, looking at stuff on a label and you cannot read or identify the ingredients, your body can't either. Right.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
I think I got off on the tangent there. Oh, and that's what I did. So I went gluten-free, found a naturopath, and then I just did a lot of my own research, trial and error on my body. And then I was like, you know what? I love coaching. I love leading. I had been thinking about this certification for a long time. And then started that down that path, and yeah, still. But I guess, you know, for me, the two biggest factors is stress reduction and blood sugar regulation. Those are the two keys. So, you know, with blood sugar regulation, that's just kind of your body's response to foods. And if it's kind of like a lot of sugar, a lot of refined carbs, it's going to spike it up. And then your body is like, oh my gosh, we got to work to pull it down, which is a stress response on your body. Then you go all the way down, then you're tired, then you're just feeling blah, then your brain is saying, hey, we need some more sugar. We need some more food to spike it back up. It's too low. So then you go for a snack, then it's like, and it's just it's very stressful on your body. So I think stress, you know, reduction, blood sugar regulation. So just that your body is just nice and stable. It's getting nutrients, it's getting fed. Your body, we need to ensure that your body, it's a safe place, because weight loss is the biggest, you know, it's the biggest, a lot of times, when my clients come to me, it's their biggest concern. And I totally understand that. And weight loss is a great goal. The way I coach, I like to chase energy. Let's get your energy. Let's look at energy, and like, let's have weight loss be a byproduct of that, of chasing that energy.
I love that.
Yeah. And because that's, for me, that's all I wanted. I just want energy. I want energy to do what I want to do, to live my life the way I want to live. And if weight loss is a byproduct of that, which it usually is, we want to make your body feel safe. And a lot of times with the way that our diet culture is, and the way that do we eat, do we don't eat, do we not eat carbs, do we eat carbs, do we eat after 8, do we intermittent fast till noon? There's all of these things that's just so overwhelming. Our bodies don't feel safe. They don't feel safe. So our bodies are not going to release extra weight until they feel safe. And that's our job, is to make our bodies feel safe.
I love that so much. Your body is your safe space.
Yeah.
I love that so much.
It's so true, because I think a lot of times we look at our body and are immediately like, oh, something's wrong. You know, and it's like, I gotta fix it, which that may be true, but I mean, if you start with empathy, if you start with creating a safe space, if you start with, okay, I'm really by your side here. You tell me which direction, what, you know, you guide me, I'm listening, you know.
And I think, you know, I do the same. We get so frustrated with really our symptoms, right? Weight loss is a symptom. It's a symptom that something has to change, something's off, whatever. You know, we get so frustrated with our symptoms. We get so frustrated at our body. We have to realize our bodies are doing the absolute best they can.
Yes.
And the symptoms, all our symptoms are, it's communication to let us know I need help. I need support. I need help. And so if we can take the personal out of it, because a lot of times we get frustrated and we get so personal at ourselves. Like, why can't I fix this? Why can't I do this? Why isn't this diet working for me? There must be something wrong with me. I must not be working hard enough. I must not be disciplined enough. I must not, all of these things, we are so hard on ourselves. And you all know this, we are so hard on ourselves. So if we can really look at symptoms as just communication, and understand our bodies are just trying to say, hey, we need some extra love here.
That's like another gem right there.
I know.
Yes.
It's so good. I looking at the clock. I want to be respectful
Yeah,
of your
absolutely.
time, but so where can people find you?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Just on Instagram at the Thyroid Pack. So PAC stands for purpose, accountability, consistency, and knowledge. That's the way that I coach. And I love the pack theme because anything teammates, anything like team oriented is my jam. So at the Thyroid Pack, if y'all have any questions, if you're struggling, if you just need to know where to start, please reach out. Because I don't want any more women to feel alone in this. And I think that so many of us are. And like you said, we don't know what we don't know, but we are here to tell you that there is a lot of hope and to get your energy back, to feel confident in your body, and to live the life that you want to live.
Oh, Amy, you're changing the world. I love this. This is
Thank
what people
you.
need to know. So thank you for sharing your
Absolutely. Well,
message.
thank you. Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm happy that we've connected.
Yes.
That's the beauty of this program too, is just, to connect with other people and your mission as well. So I'm excited to follow you all, and I'm excited that we've connected.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we look forward
Yeah.
to listening to your podcast when you get that going.
Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
Yay.
All right, y'all. Well, you guys have a great day.
Thanks, you
Okay.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, Joanne, what do you think about that?
We just talked to Amy, and here's our takeaways.
Well, listen, that was amazing chatting with her and just like hearing what she had to say. I remember feeling like that, like
Yeah.
so tired, like thinking, is this what getting older feels like? And I don't feel like I'm that old, but to feel like
No.
that, it is like I got to that, what she's talking about, the desperation. I felt that,
Yeah. I think and for her, I mean, she really was young.
Right.
At 30,
Yes.
33, or so it was for her to recognize, no, that's not right, but
And
like
having somebody tell her that this is
nothing else can be done. Oh,
how devastating that would be. So way to
but
go.
I don't know if it's just the people we're hanging around with or what, but I love that we're hearing more and more of listening to your body, and it, like the bio individuality,
Yes.
everything, it's not going to work. One thing is not going to work for everyone, but you need to, check in with yourself and figure that out. What
Yeah.
works and what doesn't work. Everybody's different.
Right.
Ugh.
Oh gosh. And what she said about your body being a safe space,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like our little home we're not our body, but here we are. This is our vehicle and we're here to take care of it.
And that's the whole thing. Like I feel like energetically, autoimmune, diseases, what are they doing? They're attacking themselves, so having some way to resolve that. And I love that that's how she approaches it, about creating that safe space and looking at the energy of, she wants to have that energy, and instead of just looking at the symptoms all the time.
Oh my gosh, I never really thought about weight gain or weight loss as a symptom. But
Yes. Yes.
that's
Yes.
exactly what it is.
And then to think of it as communication. It's like, oh, your body is communicating.
Yes.
It's giving you clues.
Right. So
Yeah.
when I talk to people about weight loss and they're so scared of the scale, it's like that's just your body telling you something's
Yeah.
going on, so
Right.
it's just a message.
Yes. Yes.
It
Yes.
doesn't mean anything about you.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to retrain ourselves. It's like, it's not a judgment. It's not, we put that on ourselves,
Right. Yeah. Oh
you
my
know?
gosh. And she's been all over the world.
Yeah. Wow. How fun is that?
She's lived the life that we're just,
Well, I guess with a lot of athletes, that's their life, where it's kind of like they live the dream life, but then afterwards, like she said, when your identity is so tied into that, you come back and you're like, oh, what what am I?
right.
Who am I?
Oh my gosh. That was, yeah, that was interesting. Introducing yourself and not knowing who are
How?
you? You can say, how do you even introduce yourself?
Yeah, I was thinking, how do we, like, what's a better question than, what do you do? Like, we got to change our small
What
talk.
what lights your life?
uh
Oh, that was fun.
yeah, it was. I'm glad
Yeah, and
it.
I actually did her, she is the thyroid pack. Did you catch that? And her pack is PACK.
Yeah.
P for purpose, A for accountability, C for consistency, and K
uh
for knowledge.
Knowledge, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, that's really good. Yay. Oh,
All right.
alrighty.
Well, it's a
Well,
pleasure, Joanne.
yes,
Enjoy your
as
day.
always. You too. Yay.
We'll see you later.
See ya. Bye.
Okay, bye.